Hello, everybody. Welcome to Zentangle Explore. I'm so excited that you're here to draw with me, either live or on the replay. We're going to draw a really fun pattern today, really slowly. So all you need is a piece of paper. This is watercolor paper, but something that fits in the palm of your hand, and a pen, the 01 Micron. But if you even have a ballpoint, and even if it's green, doesn't matter what color, what kind of pen you have, something that you can draw with really slowly. All right, so we're going to start with a brief meditation just to center ourselves. And then I'll switch my camera and we will draw. So you can close your eyes if you'd like. I'm going to close mine. Get nice and comfortable in your seat. Wiggle those shoulders, loosen that jaw, get any creases out of that forehead. And just settle into the seat wherever you're situated. Allow everything to just come to rest. And find your breath. Perhaps you're inhaling. Perhaps you're exhaling. Perhaps you're between the inhale and the exhale with a little baby little rest. So allow your attention to just come to your breath and let everything else just float away. If you have any thoughts or if there's any sounds in your environment that are not of your making, just allow them to be there and perhaps let them float away on that exhale. Perhaps just maybe open to any sounds that are in your environment. It's okay that they're there. And we're going to allow that breath to just expand by breathing. Big inhale together. We'll do a nice sighing exhale. Ha. Nice big inhale. Nice sighing exhale. Ha. And one last big inhale together. And exhale. Ha. You're ready, you can open your eyes. Know that whatever we create is totally perfect just as it is. Okay, thank you. I'm going to change my camera. Right, I have this square piece of paper. You can have other shapes, different sizes. You can draw with, have more than one available if you like. And I'm going to start with my 01, but you can draw with whatever you have. We're going to continue to notice that breath as we draw this pattern that I've been playing with, and it's, I think, my own creation, and I call it blinds. And we're going to start by just drawing some really slow lines. I'm going to start in my corner. You could go across the page if you'd like. And these are going to be wide lines. So slowly. You get a little wiggle. I've got a little wiggle in my pen because I'm trying to Really hold my hand so softly. There's a little wiggle, it's okay. Just allow it to be there. If you have any thoughts about that wiggle or about your lines, just let them go on your exhale. They are not necessary for what we are doing. I'm going to draw one more line. Sometimes you need to pick your pen up and just start on that line again. It's a technique that founders of Zentangle, Rick Roberts and Maria Thomas, called take off and land. You start on the line you already drew, and then continue that line on. I have some lines here, and now I'm going to add, maybe I'll just add them right now. You can add a little ball, or you could add a little crescent or a bump, kind of like adding a little ball. And we're just going to add this randomly throughout lines. I want out here too. Just a couple to get started, and then if you decide you want to do more, you can. Now, maybe I'll leave it this way. I'm going to turn my tie. Now I'm just going to add an aura. So just a little bubble, nice and slowly. You can add as many auras as you want to each one of these little bumps. You could stop here and let it be inside this line, or you can actually bring it out and touch this line. You could take it past that line if you really want to. This class is all about drawing really slowly, breathing, and exploring. So if you have any questions in your mind about what if I change this pattern? Like, what if I wiggle my line there? What will that look like? What if I wiggle all my line? These little bumps can go on either side of these lines. They don't have to go in one direction. What if you change the spacing of your auras? What if you made that little bump or little dark orb that we started with? What if you make it really big? What if you use two different pen nib widths? So a really fine pen and a really wider nib, a fatter pen. What if I only do one aura? All kinds of different questions. What if I add these little bumps in a pattern and go across? What if I double my lines? Draw a double lined kind of, this is I would call this a channel grid. This one's looking a little lonely. Second one there. So I'm going to start another grid here, and I'm going to connect mine. I'm going to do it a little bit differently. I'm going to draw my last line first. Sometimes it's good to do this when you're drawing a pattern that has no perceived endpoint. I start from the corner, I could just keep drawing lines, but if I want to contain it to this space, then I draw that line first. I'm going to play. You can do whatever you'd like. I'm going to play a little bit with my line spacing and see what happens. play really slowly. I have a little bit of a bend in that line. I'm just going to let that be. We are exploring. So whatever happens is a way to learn something new. And if I judge that exploration before I see where it's going, then I won't know where I might have ended up. I can add those orbs randomly, or I can cultivate them and just draw them one at a time. I can tuck my little lines in here. A little cave or a little igloo. I can change it, flatten my orb out to a crescent. Whatever exploration is calling to you is absolutely perfect. The lines go past the other lines. Just seeing how slowly we can draw the lines. Sometimes it's fun to see if you can match your inhale or your exhale to the line. Slow down your breath, slow down the line. I learned this way of drawing, not Zentangle, but drawing really slowly from Amy Miracle over at mindfulartstudio.com. She holds slow drawing parties on Wednesdays. She creates nature patterns, things she finds out in her environment. I highly recommend any of her classes. They are fabulous. Especially if you're looking to learn about watercolor. She does watercolor patterns and also line patterns. Also, if you're looking to create an art practice, she's very skilled at helping people create a mindful art practice. You can start a new piece of paper at any time. Yours might look something like mine. Yours might look nothing like mine. It doesn't matter. What matters is whether or not you are drawing precisely what you want to draw, no matter what that is. If you're filling in shapes, it's a really great time to really notice, excuse me, whether or not you're gripping your pen. Just relax that hand. Maria Thomas, the co-founder of Zentangle, says that while you're drawing, you should be holding your pen so lightly that while you're drawing, somebody could come and pluck it right out of your fingers. Years and years and years of practice, and I still find myself gripping my pen. Drawing with Amy has actually helped me over time to hold my pen so much lighter, which is lovely for my hand and for my lines. If you find yourself gripping your pen or drawing more quickly, it's okay. Just remind yourself that this is the time to draw slowly and breathe. So when I run into the line here, I have a choice. I can draw over it, or I can stop and draw behind it and layer my lines. I like to stop and draw behind. Amy will often draw lines over. I find it makes me really uncomfortable, which also means that I try to draw that way every so often, because challenging myself to feel uncomfortable is a really excellent practice. Nice, safe way on the page. Just some ink and some paper. Some fun little lines. Nothing terrible is going to happen. An ink splot is really the most dangerous thing that could happen right here. Then I could take that ink spot and turn it into some lovely creation. Nothing is ruined. Nothing is ruined ever. Everything is an opportunity to shift my perspective and see it from a new angle. whatever it is that might be calling your attention, to say, I wonder what would happen if I did this. You can do that. You have a pen and you have a piece of paper. You have your breath and you have some time to explore whatever that is. It's wanting to be explored. And if you wanted to add purple orbs, pink lines, you can do that. You can explore whatever you want really slowly. Zentangle makes a tangle or tile. We color paper 3.5, 3.5 inch tile we draw on. Most pleasing are equal amounts of black, white, and gray, white being the tile, black being the ink, and gray being the shading. We don't shade in this class, although you can shade your creations. after class if you'd like, making sure to keep the white brightness in the tangle and on the tile. There's no erasing in Zentangle. I love that about Zentangle. But not every pattern has a lot of black. So when we add black on our own, I call it adding creative black. And you can do that any way you want. You can thicken lines. You can round the corners where your lines meet. Technique called rounding. You can color in any of these bands. You can make your orbs, your starting orbs larger. You can add weighting to one part of your line, these aura lines that go around. You could make your original starting lines really thick. I could say, well, this is kind of fun. I drew these lines over each other. Now I have these little spaces and color these little spaces in to add black. You may have different little spaces on your tile. Any space is an opportunity to add either more pattern, some black, or even some shading with a different color. It doesn't have to be pencil gray. You could add pink, green, or yellow. You could even add brown or sepia. It's your creation, it's your exploration. That means that you are creating the universe that's coming to life on tile. And you get to say what happens there. It's completely within your control. You don't get to control everything about what's happening. It doesn't seem like we can. This is totally in control. What wants to happen here? Change my Sharpie pens are really nice. You can get them at an office supply store. They have a little bit of a wider or thicker nib than a 01 micron, but they're permanent, which means that whatever you draw with them, you can then add watercolor afterwards. You don't have to worry about the ink bleeding. Much worry about drawing on a double line. Showing you here what a double line is. Draw through all the double just for fun. Because I have a pen and I can. And I'm going to wiggle it a little, apparently. Apparently there's going to be some wiggle in the line. It's good to embrace those wiggles because it adds so much character and movement to the piece that otherwise doesn't have any implied movement. We don't have a landscape with bicycles and the sun, leaves swaying, the trees. And so when we have a wiggle in our line, we add movement automatically. It makes the line more interesting. The eye says, oh, what's happening over there? I want to check that out. That's different. That's interesting. And we just draw straight lines. If we were able to draw with true precision, like a ruler straight line all the time, suggest that our eye will get bored. Nothing interesting is happening here. It's just a straight line over and over and over and over and over. Slowing down. Sometimes when I start exploring something new, I find that I start drawing a little bit quicker. Just slow myself down, bring myself back to the breath. Just talking about roundings, we'll give you an example of that. This corner here where the line meets this little aura, just smooth that out. Attach it to the line, and then it appears to have, or it does in fact have more black there. Just a little baby bit of black. Make a real difference. It's a technique called rounding. You don't have to use it. And it's here for you if you like. Try it out. There's a whole psychologically based art form called neurographica that I am not certified to teach. My basic understanding of it is that you draw lines and then you round all the corners, and it has to do with your thoughts and your feelings. It's a way to work out problems. You can look it up online if you're interested. So what's nice about using double lines is that you can draw through. And this is a class all about exploration, so whatever it is that you're exploring, it's perfect. Really, really slowly. It's black orbs on lines like this are reminding me of musical notes. It's nice about an exploration, like a brainstorming session. A brainstorming session, no question is too crazy or wild, or no idea is too crazy or wild. Here, no idea is too crazy or wild to explore. I find that the ideas that I think will never work are often the ones I love the best. Had I not allowed myself to explore them, I wouldn't know that. Your mind says, well, what I'm doing isn't the thing that the teacher says we're doing. I'm really here more of a guide than a teacher. But say, all right, well, what are the parameters of what we started with? We started with a line. A line can be anything. It can be straight, it can be curved, it can be loopy, it can be fat, it can be thin. You started with a bump, some sort of a shape on the line, and then an aura. And those are the three parts to this tangle. And anything that uses those parts is keeping with the essence of the tangle. Do the lines have to be parallel? No. Do there have to be 3 or 5 or 7 of them? No. Does your orb have to be circular? No. Do you have to have a certain number of auras? No. And if you enjoy drawing this pattern, you can continue exploring it through the week. And challenge yourself to find new ways to explore the essence of this tangle. Line, couple lines, some sort of a shape, and an aura. And then adding creative black, whenever you'd like. And breathing, very important. Exploring slowly. Sometimes it's fun to just set a timer, 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and see what ideas come up in that time. Great. Here are my explorations. This way. Of course, in Zentangle, you can turn them whichever direction you want. Turn this way, this way, this way. I hope you enjoyed drawing this pattern. If you would like to donate to these classes, paypal.me/eternal possibility. That's it. And I hope that you keep drawing. And you can join me next Friday if you'd like, on July 14th. And you can find my classes at eternalpossibility.com. All right. Have a great day.